Good evening. What's up, KQ?
Hey y'all.
Folks, and I tell you what, we also have Terry Rogers here. And then what's up, Terry?
Nothing much. How you doing, Mr. Hope?
I'm doing good. Really enjoyed you last week. You know, the title of our show is Media Blackout and Other Nonsense. And the reason why I titled it Media Blackout is because they use the media to control us. You understand, if they control the information that we get, they in a sense control who we are. So that's kind of like our topic. But I want just tell us what's been going on with you. I talked to you and you said you went and tried to register or tried to get on the ballot. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I had the necessary 50 people signed up to run for election commissioner for District 4, I believe. I believe my District 4
And
or
what city
District
that
3 or
is?
4. In Quitman, Mississippi, and Clark County.
Okay, go
To
ahead.
be our election commissioner, and you know, I just wasn't able to get on. She said
When you say
the
she, who are you
election,
talking about?
the circuit clerk, I believe.
Did
Um,
you have a name?
oh, I forgot her name. I forgot her name.
Do you know what she looked like?
Yeah, she's
What,
she's a white lady. She's been elected. Uh, and prior to my knowledge, she's a great clerk. Prior to my knowledge,
I don't
um,
know what you call a great clerk. We can say she's a great liar. We can say that. And the reason why I say that is because it's already set in statute when people are able to run for office. And you called me about that. And I told you, you sent me a text. I said, I don't think that was the truth. But of course, I like to state now that it wasn't the truth. It was a lie. She lied to you to keep you. In other words, if you don't get on the ballot, if you don't qualify by the 30th of January, am I right? 30th, 31st. Which day is it?
31st.
At the 31st of January, you can't get on the ballot. So if she lied to you, that's kind of like a deterrence. Do you realize that she broke the law? When she lied to you, would not allow for you to get on the ballot. And so, folks, we're talking, I'm assuming that we're talking about the Clark County Circuit Clerk.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, so if this is the person that you're talking about, then this is the person that broke the law. So one of the things I instructed you to do was to call the Secretary of State, because the Secretary of State are the ones that controls the elections in the state of Mississippi.
Yes,
And you
sir.
call them. So what the Secretary of State told you is that they will investigate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You really need to do a formal complaint. And you can't let nobody tell you that they're going to investigate. You got to say, I want to fill out the paperwork. In other words, you want to go ahead on and fill the paperwork out, because if you can prove what you're saying is true, then she won't be the circuit court clerk long, because she'll be going to jail because she actually breaking the law. She
Yes,
cannot
sir.
stop you from getting on the ballot. She can't tell me every 2 years. It's in statute. You understand that if people could just tell you what they want to do and how they want to do it, then it'll be a chaos in the state. It's enough chaos already. But they have statutes and laws that we go by. An election commissioner have to run every 4 years. And so they this year coming up, they actually have to run for office. And I think the election, if I'm not mistaken, November, if I'm not mistaken, giving
Yes, sir.
you
You're right.
plenty time to campaign. So I strongly suggest that you go back. As a matter of fact, take me with you. I don't mind going with you. Take me with you. I promise you, we'll get you on the ballot Monday. Take me
Yes,
with
sir.
you. And you're a bright young man and you're knowledgeable. But one thing that comes with that knowledge is like I have a friend before, and he was getting beat down. He had a gun in his hand. Matter of fact, somebody gave him a gun, and he said, "I'm too tired right now." Well, basically, he wasn't too tired. He was afraid to pick the gun up. See, your knowledge is your gun. If you're afraid to use your gun, then the knowledge is not. You understand what I'm saying? We
Yes,
need
sir.
and we need KQ. We need y'all in politics, but we need you to be able to pull the trigger when it's time. Now, I don't necessarily mean, I'm not talking about physical violence, folks. I'm talking about when you're wrong, you got to stand up for that wrong. When you know that somebody's telling you a lie, I don't necessarily accept what a person say to me. I make sure that if they telling me, I go and research and make sure it's in the statute. And what she did is lied to you.
Yes,
Anything
sir.
else going on with you got so many comments there. The people, some of my peers, some of the guys that I've taught karate when they was young. I used to be a karate teacher, and they were very impressed with you. So our young people are very, very intelligent, and you and KQ show that. But we are and I am proud of you. I'd love to see you get on the ballot this time. Don't let that old lady tell you, or young lady, whatever lady she was. Don't let her tell you something that's not true. While you there, said, I'm fixing to get on the phone with the Secretary of State right now. Why? And I want you to tell them what you just told me. I guarantee she gonna let you go ahead on rest. I would go back. I would go back if I were you. I need for you to be strong. I need for you to be
I
assertive.
try to be respectful and strong, Mr. Huck.
Well, it's okay to be respectful. So do we owe George Santos any respect? He lied about who he was. Or do we owe him any respect?
Uh,
If somebody come and lie to you and trying to interfere with your right to be in public office, because she recognized what we see in you, they see it too. A strong, young black man that's not getting in trouble, not selling dope, not with his pants hanging down, getting in trouble, talking about B's and H's and getting drunk and smoking blunt. We see we see a future. We see they don't want that. They want chaos. They don't want community. So they see what we see. So it's not about respect. It's about you getting what you deserve. We need for you to be on that ballot. We need for you to be in public office.
yes, yes, sir. And I don't know if y'all seen the commercial yet about the He Gets Us commercial. And it's a commercial about Jesus. And it talks about how Jesus was a rebel. The community leaders didn't like him.
That's
The
right.
the religious leaders didn't like him.
That's
And,
right.
and they say, well, let's silence this man. Like, it goes back to the media. Michael X said it best, the media portrays what goes on in your head. Because if all you see is this person is a bad person, you won't think he's a bad person.
That's
And they
right.
could trick you any way they want to. And that's the same way they did Jesus. Jesus was a rebel. Jesus was wrongly convicted. Jesus was talked about in bad, but the whole time he was doing something good, not just for him, but for all of us. So, that's the motto I have, and that's the mentality I have. I mean, we got to fight like hell. To hell freezes over. Then we got to be prepared to fight on the ice. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's just.
I don't mind telling you is that I'm old enough to have been in Meridian when the civil rights workers was killed.
And
And
I actually went to church with the person who owned that station wagon. Mr. Dice actually owned that station wagon, and
uh,
that James Chaney, Swarner, and Goodman was in. And I
right.
actually got to meet him, before he had passed away, and that was history, and that shows you history wasn't that long ago. The civil rights movement wasn't that long ago.
Well, I never met Mr. Dyson. I didn't know who owned that station wagon, but I can tell you that we have a person called Roscoe Jones. He's still living. He was the president of the youth branch of the NAACP, and he actually talked to the moms that's still living and the people that are still living. And
Wow.
he's probably close to 80, and he's paralyzed now, but he's still alive. And I can tell you, he had some stories, and he ran for office before. But they don't want that either. They don't want the strong black male. They want somebody other than that there. And you're right, the media portray us. And when I said that, to say this is that there was a type of media blackout for us. We didn't know. They made sure we didn't know. They had the Meridian Star and they had WTOK back then, but they made sure that we didn't know. And when we went to church on Sunday, they was talking about dangling in the lion den. They didn't do what Martin Luther King did. They hated the ministers, the preachers hated Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King used the church as a form of social change. Martin Luther King was not Christian, neither was his wife. I forgot what they is. The next time we talk, I can tell you what they were. But they were definitely not Christians. And they used the church as a way of social change. And he used that. And how about at one time, some of the churches did that, like Reverend Killingworth in Meridian, Mississippi did that. He ended up leaving. Roscoe Jones can tell you all about Ralph Abernathy ended up leaving Linden, Alabama. Jesse Jackson was a student. Of course, when Martin Luther King was killed, he used that as an opportunity to become a reverend then. But it's a lot of things but my point is that they use the media to give us, they select our leaders for us, and they control what we do and what we learn. So we didn't know. We grew up ignorant.
You
We
you
didn't
you're
know.
right. You're right, because I remember watching all these documentaries, and a lot of people don't know we celebrate him in the African American community, but whenever he was living, he had white people who hated him, and he had his own people hating him.
You're
The
so
same
right.
people
You're right.
who he needed to come together, and sometimes I wonder what full unity would mean in the black community. You
And that's
know,
what him and his wife are, Unitarians. They were Unitarians.
Unitarians, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder how it all be when we come together, you know, when as one people, not you know, I hate you because you think you are this and you think you are that. You know, when we become one, uh, all of us will be all that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody be on the same playing field, and we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King, but Dr. Martin Luther King was a villain when he lived. He opposed the Vietnam War. He tried to get voting rights. Okay, that was good. He went to Chicago. When he went to Chicago, he had white protesters beating him as well as black protesters beating
That's
him.
right.
Had to be protected by the mob. But all today we see is our friend Martin. You know, that's the only visual representation we have.
Yeah, he
Uh,
would roll over on in his grave. I can tell you this is that Reverend Lowry. I think he's dead now. His wife, Mrs. Lowry, I met her and I met him personally.
Joseph
Rosa
Lowry.
Parks, yeah, Joseph Lowry. Rosa Parks is on the bus stop at Alabama State, and I took KQ down there to see that. But I'm the one that did that. I dug up that hole. I built the monument, the part
Wow.
that the bus sit up on. I built that, but of course they wouldn't allow for my name to be on that. And I still have some of the pictures that we took. But Miss Lowry, I was in Marion, Alabama, where Coretta Scott King was from. Coretta Scott, where she's from. I was supposed to been the one that did the sidewalk and all that. Mrs. Lowry wanted me to use my own money, and all I was charging Terry was $8,000. I had done everything, done the cement and everything was going to cost me about $3 or $4 grand. It was going to come out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and come all the way to Marion, Alabama, which is closer to. I think it's about 75 miles away. So it's going to cost me about. I would have made about $2,000 or $3,000 profit, and I just wanted her to pay half the money up front. And when I finished, Miss Lowry didn't want to do anything, so she ended up getting white guys to do this, and they charge her. She had to give them 40 grand, but they charge her 80 grand. But my point of it is that even when we do have the resources to empower each other, we don't do so. And so-called civil rights leaders don't do that. And I know my brother ain't gonna like this, but I gotta say this is that Wetzler is being one of the curator over there is Greg Moore and Ed Lynch. And Ed ain't gonna like this, but I gotta say this: Wetzler is a black school, and they're doing all this renovation there. But nobody in the black community is making that money. When they did the roof, you got white people that are doing that, and so the other community benefit from our history. And we went to where John F. Kennedy was killed at,
In Dallas.
in Dallas. Yeah, we did, and I took my children there. But the irony is that we was one of two black families there. So black people are not taking any interest in anybody's history. There's a no one. And that's one of the things, and that comes from that media blackout I call it. See, we're exposed to rap music, and I like it, but it has a detrimental effect upon the black community because that's what we're exposed to all the time. So we're supposed to kill each other. We're supposed to hang out. We're supposed to get drunk, get high, and kill each other, not educate each other. And not
that comes all the way back from slavery. Mr. Holt, I got a question for you. I'd like to ask. How do you feel about school uniform?
I'm not an advocate of school uniforms.
Okay,
I'm not. And reason why. Go ahead.
Because I mean, if you think about it, so I understand bullying. You know, bullying should not be tolerated, but I can bully somebody just as well as they wearing a yellow shirt, just as good as I am.
Happens.
You know?
It still happens.
And so, you know, in my opinion, it's almost like you see slaves. You know, all of them. You know, you can't wear this up in the professional field, which what the schools are supposed to be teaching us how to go out into. They have uniforms, but you have the freedom to choose your uniform.
Right.
You can't choose uniform if you only have three things. You know what I'm saying?
And plus, it creates a burden upon the family because our children are growing at this time. So every year, the family got about, and whereas they have clothes.
I think the parents should choose. Parents should choose.
Yeah.
Give it to the parents. Let the parents choose. Let the parents vote.
You can Google it. It's a failed system. Everything is supposed to deter. It has not done that. Everything it's supposed to do, it has not done that. One of the things that busing is when they separate equal was done away with, meaning that it's okay to separate us as long as they treat us equal. That's Brown versus the Board of Education, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, they did away with it. Once they did away with it, we still would not go to their schools. And so they forced us to go to their schools by busing. So they would bus us all the way across town to their schools and vice versa. So once that happened to us, we lost our mentors. We lost our black role models. We lost our black teachers, our black administrators. When you see a black teacher now, and you have a deviation of the norm, but usually the black teachers are watered down type male. We don't have that many males, and oftentimes if you go to schools that are traditionally black schools, like even Jackson State, the department heads are no longer black. They're someone other than us, and that's what's sad. It is because the whole system is designed to single our children out at an early age and kick them out of school. You can see that. We was looking today where a child, I think 9 years old, ate gummy that had tetrahydrocannabinol in it, THC in it, but it was given to her by another student. First, they expelled her from school, created so much, and she didn't do it and didn't take it, and then they suspended her. But you understand, and then I can tell you this, I've seen a transition. I still have young children in school. I've seen where they would not send a young child to alternative school, but they do that now all the way from kindergarten. They have in-school suspension and that kind of thing. So they've already have started targeting our children for incarceration. Any form of incarceration. If they lock you in a room all day, that's incarceration. You understand? And so also they tell your children, you've probably been subjected to this if you ever got in trouble. Write down, Terry, what happened. They already teaching our children to confess and sign statements. I don't allow for my children to sign anything. You got to get my dad here, my parent here. And then, of course, the administrations allow the children to say, hey, you got to write this down or something to that effect. It's just the whole thing is designed. We're bottom feeders, not Terry. I'm just going to tell you, we are.
We are. And I mean, we came over on the slave ships as bottom feeders. Our own people sold us in the slave.
Yeah. But even so, we're bottom feeders now. In my opinion, it is systemic, and also the system is stacked up against us. And then we get the manumission type Negroes, or that Malcolm X talked about, the ones that look like us but don't think like us. They don't have our best interests at heart, but they come in wolf in sheep clothing, meaning that the white man will get them and put them there because you're in a situation where you have a majority of the black people, and then we don't vote. We scream and holler at each other. One of the things that one of my friends told me, I met in his office, he's a friend of mine, and we were talking. He said he noticed how black people scream and holler at each other. They're raising, and then even our elected officials holler at us. Hey, how about the best way of hollering is flipping your hand instead of pulling your gun. Pull that switch down. Vote. Register to vote. It ain't no louder voice than voting.
You're right. That's the biggest thing we have, and we need more male figures up in our black households. You know, I got this book right here, Dreams from My Father. This was Barack Obama's book. I believe he wrote when he was like 29 or something like that, some of that age. He wasn't even that old. And he talks about how, you know, he didn't have his father. He always wondered about his father, and that was part of the reason whenever his mom did die. His mom died too long ago. Whenever his mom did die, he wasn't able to have a good connection because he was so worried about his father. And I think that's part of the reason why he went through so much that he did in his younger days, and that's why so many African Americans still today. That's why we see, you know, the homicide rate going up, you know, the poverty rate going up, you know, the lack of want to. Simply is not even a calculated number, but that's even going up. I mean, if you see more, you want to do more, but you have to really have somebody out there to really want to do more, and there's not a lot. And the ones who we think want to do more really are out there to want to do more for themselves instead of doing more for the people.
I gotta ask you this. So what are some things, and KQ, I want you to come in on this and perhaps give your opinion on it. So what are the things that we can do? Well, I already know what I can do. I can turn it over to you and her. But what are you and her going to do to get your peers as excited about change as you and her? To get it going, to get them to even register to vote and still don't vote.
We'll have to like basically go out into the communities, and just basically talk talk to our peers, talk to the young people, like like hold an event that'll catch their attention, but also like when we hold that event, talk to them about the important stuff like voting and getting people to vote and stuff like that. Because I mean, events will bring young people out, because they want to get out, have fun, but I mean, that you got to inform them as well.
I think that's another problem because there's a lack of events going on in our community.
Right.
That's intentional. That's intentional.
I had a joke I probably shouldn't have said. Well, but I'm go ahead and say it about the kids in Meridian because every day we see killing in Meridian. So I mean, I said it gets so cold in Meridian, they have hot lead go through their bodies to warm them up. You know what I'm saying? So
you're right. But I think it would be like it would. I wouldn't say it would be hard to have an event in Meridian. It would be hard to get young people in Meridian to come out because most of them want to do is sit around and joke around with their friends and smoke weed, do this and that, basically follow the leader,
And you know what you just said something so great. My old principal once said, he said, you know how you get 1 million people to get on board with you?
Mm-hmm.
You get one person.
Right.
And like somebody big, like I know I keep on bringing up Obama, but Obama, he would have never became president if it wasn't for Oprah Winfrey endorsing him, And you just need one person. If NBA Youngboy was to come to Meridian and say, let's put down the guns and let's love and let's go out and register to vote, man.
Right.
You couldn't have a black person in the United States that wouldn't vote, especially our age. You know
what? One of the things that I've seen is that when you have people that are celebrities, they so busy scratching each other's ass, and excuse me for cursing, but they're not concerned about really coming into the community. Man, they get up on stage and they don't want an award, and they don't understand that they won those awards because of you and you, and because we're paying to either see or listen to the music, streaming or however it is. But then they get up there and they thank each other. But they don't go back and give back to the community. They just don't do that. And it's gonna take Lil Wayne to come and maybe sponsor you. Oh, you can become Secretary of State then if we get Lil Wayne to come here, or somebody like that, or Drake or Barack Obama was to come here. I sent Barack Obama an email before, he didn't even respond to it. Imagine he can't read all of them. I sent Oprah Winfrey. I'm not big enough. I'm not. What's that? Bishop, Mr. Bishop. He's not even that big, but he lied to us. And so far, we haven't heard from Earthquake, Missing in Action. So here these people are. They go in their shows and everything, and they laugh and joke with each other and talk about things. They can talk about where they've been, but they can't talk about what's going on right now unless they read in the news, because they ain't got their hands out in the mud. They ain't in the dirt. They ain't doing anything significant in the Black community in order to instrument change. Donating to charity, donating to the United Way. Hell, that United Way money don't do none of them executives or millionaires.
And
there's something wrong with somebody who's the leader of a million people who won't talk about the real life crisis going on in their own community, into their fan base community. You gotta reach your hand out and touch some of the people. It's all right to talk behind the screen, but sometimes you got to put on the gloves and go to work.
That's right.
And I gotta say this as well. Celebrities, they won't come out and talk to people unless they're getting paid a certain amount of money.
I offer Earthquake money, remember?
That's why I said I know that.
Money, but then I ain't heard from it.
I know that, but I'm saying though, even like celebrities, they like Master P, that Birmingham had to pay him how much just for him to come out there on stage?
What about $150,000 or something like that? Or
that's what I'm saying. He has it on his Instagram straight up. For me to speak or something like that, it's $150,000 top flat. That's just to do a public. I'm like, are you serious?
And he's talking good. We like what he said, but he had to pay to come. Yeah. We have that. We went and saw him and we listened, man. He talking real talk. But in order for us to hear that, the city of Birmingham had to pay him $150,000. Exactly. They bought a Project Pack and came also, didn't charge quite that much, but he charged quite a bit too, about $50,000. So to put on that event probably cost about $500,000. And most cities are not going to do that because they don't want. Let me tell you how they can tell they want you to be where you are. You go and look at, I don't know how it is in Clark County, Equipment Public School, but Meridian Public School has Deborah Carter and I don't care if she don't like what I'm saying, but I'm telling the truth. You can Google it. Meridian Public School has been a failing school system ever since she's been the superintendent. If she's been there 10 years, it's been a failing school system for 10 years. Why would you keep a superintendent at a school system and it's an F minus? D minus is the highest grade she ever got, and they continue to give her a pay raise and keep her there? It's because Meridian Public Schools is a majority Black school system, only graduate about 20% of the community, which is it's a failing school system. That tells you right there that they don't want community in this city. They want chaos. They want us to go to jail. They don't want the young Terry Rogers. They don't want you. They definitely don't want you to hear what I got to say. They don't want you to know what you know, or you to know what you know. And I just pointed at both of you. They don't want you to know what you know.
Yeah, and I had some people come and talk to me about my club. You know, I started an old club, and they said they wouldn't allow them to do some type of events that we did last year, and we grew last year. When we left with the new numbers that came out for the students this year, we grew actually on the state testing and things of that nature. And so, and for them to say that, you know, it's pushing equipment away from, you know, they really hurt my heart, and they really let well, from what I hear, they letting it die, basically letting my club die. And
but you understand why? Because your club is a success. It's making
that hurt
me.
What they want. That hurt me very dearly, because, you know, I told them, I gave a little speech. You know, I left with 12 people up in that room, but the active membership now is 75 kids, like somewhere around 75, and that's a lot, you know. 75 kids who can go out and inspire families, things of that nature. And to hear that they just allowing it, you know, to almost die basically on his own 2 feet, you know, that really hurts, you know, because I told him that was my legacy. I said long after I'm gone, I want this club to be here, still striving, doing what's right.
Know, your legacy you're still making and creating your legacy, so that's a compliment to you. One thing that you can do, the founder can go back and on weekends, go back. You got to really drive and push yourself. That creates a genius in you. Both of you, I'm talking to you. Push yourself beyond the limit, and go back and do what you need to do to make sure your club don't die. Make sure your legacy don't die. That's my advice to you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I will. I promise I will.
That's right. Because we need those 75 tomorrow leaders. We need that in our community. Our community is dying. It's like a self-inflicted wound. When I say that the Black male is missing in action and has basically regulated himself to a bottom feeder, to the lowest form of species, and that's a bottom feeder, meaning that when you're a bottom feeder, you taking the crud, what's left, you taking what given to you, whatever you can get. And bottom feeders they're struggling and fighting and striving against each other, keeping them on the bottom. And it should not be that way, because we're sons and daughters of kings. You know where we come from. We come from antiquity. And so if we were first, then and here's the thing of it is too, Mr. Rice, I'm gonna tell you this. I am not political correct, and I don't care to be political correct. And the reason why I say that, because see, if I was political correct, I wouldn't be talking to you, and I wouldn't be talking about Black folks being the first people on this on this planet world. From Black, everything came. And so if we were doing pyramids, if we were kings and queens, we did philosophy, plotting the stars, navigating the earth, but now we're bottom feeders. This is not by design. It's not by us, but we're allowing for it to happen now, because we're in the, I mean, you guys are Generation Z, but even X, Y, even the new millennials, all of those folks have access to the internet that we did not have. And there's no reason they should not be as educated as you are, or as concerned as KQ, and doing things in order to grab your life back. And then life, liberty, and pursue happiness. They don't want you to do that, but they can't stop you, because if you got the knowledge and the wherewithal, who can stop that? They might not like me, and I don't care, but they gotta respect me. You got to.
You're right. You're right.
I'm just glad you guys are coming along thinking like you're thinking and knowing what you know, because that means that tomorrow we ain't gonna die. Tomorrow, bro, just to hear you do this. If one person hear you speak like you're speaking, it makes a difference, because that one seed, man, it started with just one grass seed. It started with just one one seed, and look at all the plants in the world. So you always, every time you speak, your light is shining and it's making a difference. And you probably don't even know the difference that you're making by being who you are and doing what you're doing. You know, we're glad to talk to you, and I like this. I like engaging you, and I like the people hear you and they see you. And don't you think that they don't hate you, because they do. They hate you because of who you are. It has nothing to do with your color of your skin, because if you were speaking something differently, you're not political correct. You're factual and you're knowledgeable about your beginning and where you want to go. And that's not what they want, because where you want to go, you're more like me. Hey, I'm a black man and I understand that, but I'm more for the community. I want all us to be okay, but I want my kind to be okay. I don't want my kind to be gone. I want my kind. I want to leave a legacy for myself. I want to do what the Youngs did. And the Youngs created a legacy for themselves that'll always be here. But I don't want to do that because I'm in politics and I'm going to manipulate the system so that my son will become a politician. I don't want to do any of those things. I just want us to be okay. I want to be able to enjoy life and liberty and pursue happiness. And I want to be this. I want to see the same for you and for KQ. I want to see that for all. And I say black people, don't think I'm a racist, because I'm not. I'm just a realist and I'm an individual. And it's just it's unnatural for anybody to go out and protect that someone else's when their own is in distress. And we're in distress right now.
And we need to invest more into our own communities, especially in our youth. You know, if we don't invest in our youth, if we don't invest in our youth, excuse me, what you say, Mr.
So how do you suggest we do that? So when you come up with a solution to the problem, you talk about the problem, what's the solution to the problem? How do we invest more in ourselves? I said something to you last week about how churches every Sunday, the black churches, take all that money they collect and they put it in white banks. That's not investing into our future or our children. That's investing into their future. It's investing into their communities. It's investing into their businesses, not ours. So, well, how are we going to do that? It's churches that are doing that.
You just, when I say invest, you just don't have to invest money. You can invest knowledge. You can invest by congratulating somebody. You know, I think it's like you said, the media portrayal. It goes on in the same media portrayal you see out there is the same one that goes on at home. You know, there's so many families that criticize their own children.
That's
you know,
right.
instead of congratulating. There should never be the time or a day where you or the hour where you criticize and talk bad about your child. What do you congratulate them? You know,
I like hearing you say that, because earlier today something happened to me, and this is personal, but I want to talk about it because this here will help our community. My daughter missed the bus, and since she missed the bus, I couldn't. I'm in Alabama. She's in Meridian at Magnolia. So she's on her iPhone. So she FaceTimed me and went to her grandmother's house. And when she got there, her uncle was there. Now, understand, her uncle does not have any children at all, not any. I don't even know whether he owned property or anything. Maybe all he owns is a car and a house. But anyway, who you talking to on the phone? She said, I'm talking to my dad. And he didn't say anything else, but he waited until she got off the phone with me, and he started fussing at her and talking about it. And then, of course, she go around her mother. Her mother do this. Her mother allowed for her sister and her aunt and her brother to talk bad to my daughter. And I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Rogers, if you mess with one of mine, it'll come out better if you mess with me. Now, if you mess with me, I'm gonna mess with you. You understand what I'm saying? But
yes,
messing with one of mine, it'll be a whole lot better for you to mess with me, because it pissed me off so damn bad. I was ready to come to Meridian just to probably go to jail or hell, because that's how I roll now. I don't come and roll I don't come to talk to you, but I'm prepared to die for what I believe is what's right. So anytime anybody engage with me, they got to be prepared to kill or be killed, because that's how I come. I ain't worried about tomorrow. My life already been to the mountaintop. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't care no more. But when you start messing with my children, here my baby ain't number 12 years old, and she got to defend herself against a grown man and a grown old woman I'm gonna call her uncle named Dewan, and her great aunt named Ruby. It used to be Ruby Fox. I don't know what her last name is. Used to be a jailer with a lot of their kind of sheriff department. See, I don't mind calling names because I'm not a scary man. So I'm gonna call your name. And then Mama Amadine, well, I don't understand, bro. Here the thing of it is that I give anybody this kind of advice. Don't mess with anybody more powerful than you are. You don't mess with anybody more connected than you are. You don't mess with anybody have more resources than you are. And you damn sure don't mess with anybody more dangerous than you are. Now, if you ain't smart enough to figure that shit out, damn it, go and ask somebody. And I ask anybody at the end of the day why in the hell they want to mess with me or anything wrong with me. And I'm a black man first, and ain't nobody gonna like that shit because I'm not politically correct. I'm a black man first. And I've seen the civil rights work, and we were not even allowed to speak to them. Didn't even know who they were. When they died, it didn't affect us at all. But if they had been teaching us, and they didn't have a media blackout, control our knowledge. You understand? If you control the knowledge, you control what the person gonna grow up to be and know. But like you, I educated myself. I chose to educate myself. I chose to do my own research. So I started looking for Christianity. And so I ended up with a history minor in college when I got my bachelor's degree because I was looking for Jesus. I looked in all them white folk books and I didn't see anywhere where Jesus ever lived or ever existed. But we talk about that every Sunday. So we take all that money. They got us bamboozled. We raise money every Sunday, but they ain't doing nothing for the sick and the shut in. They ain't doing nothing for fixing the road, building a bigger and better monument they talk about in the Bible. It's easy to see that the Bible is not even God's word. You ain't got to do nothing but Google it. 325 BC. You can go back and see it. And the Emperor Constantine got all the religious people to come together. Y'all got too many canons. We need to have just one. So I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but I'm speaking factual. So it's okay. I didn't say it's not a God. I didn't say that. But who is to say that God is better than Allah or Buddha or Hindu, whoever is? I think that everybody create. You can go into existence, existentialism, or whatever you want to say. I think that everybody got their own God in them. Everybody does. How you agree with God, how you wish of God. I don't think that anybody knows how you feel about God, and they try to put us all in a group and have us. Religious Christianity teaches white superiority. It does that. It put us, and they know what we is on Sunday. They want to kill all us up, then they blow up all the damn black churches. You kill our so-called black leaders. And I'm kind of like I'm run off on a tangent because I kind of get upset. I got so upset today, man. I tell you, I had to calm down when my little daughter was messed with by her uncle. Bullying. That's bullying behavior. When you bully a child, that's bullying behavior. If you want to say something, talk to that child parent. Don't talk to that child because you understand, Mr. Rogers. Yes. I beat on you. If I beat on you, you understand what I'm saying? If you're 7 years old and I beat on you, you know I done took your dad's responsibility. I done did something to you. Now, Mr. Rogers, if you go to jail right now, we know each other, and you probably ask for my help and I'll give you my advice. But let's understand, it's not going to affect me like it's going to affect your mom and your daddy. I ain't got no business trying to raise you at 10, 11, 12 when you have a mama and daddy that's responsible for you. So I'm a hands-on dad. You understand what I'm saying? I ain't never been sued for child support. I've always taken care of my children. My children live like the Cosby kid. And the reason why I'm selfish. Oh, yeah, I'm selfish as hell. I don't share my children with nobody. What I mean by that, I don't want nobody coming in acting like their daddy because them women, they fickle. They had this man today and that man tomorrow. You can have man you want. I don't care. If you want to lead a child, me, I ain't mad at you, something like that. You can get your child support, whatever it is that you get. I ain't never been sued for child support because I ain't never had to be. I always took care of my children. I guess I went off on a tangent, but I said I kind of got a little angry about my daughter, but I'm going to deal with that situation, Mr. Terry. I'm going to deal with that situation. I'm going to deal with a grown-ass man saying something to my daughter. I'm going to damn go see his ass. They might think I'm damn too old or whatever, but I got children. If I'm too old, I got some children, man. I got 11 boys. I'm talking about I
got a football team, Mr. Hope.
I got a football team, and I ain't gonna tell you my girls, man, my girls are beautiful and they tougher than my boys. They do not play. Man, I don't like what's going on with my daughter now and there. Her ancestors, man, they the kind of people that ain't none of them got nothing. I'm just telling you the truth. Ain't none of them got nothing. All of them living in their grandmother, great grandmother trailer, on food stamps. That's the slave quarters. I'm just calling it that because that's what it is. When you living in public housing, when you get food stamps, That's like the slaves. You don't pay rent and you don't buy your food. The government this is a new form of slavery. And then when they get all of you together and you're just smoking and getting high and playing nickel tonk or penny tonk, taking dollars and quarters from each other, that's another thing that's counterproductive and detrimental to the Black community. But it's definitely detrimental when you allow for anyone to say something to your child when you have a hands-on dad.
Maybe you're right. You're right.
But hell, I went off on a damn tangent. I hope all of them see it. I got to tell you this too, Terry. There's nothing I say or do that does not have a desire or an intended outcome. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I went off on a tangent, but I'm like that cat you throw up in the air. People think a cat don't bump their ass. Yes, they do. They just move so fast you don't see it. So that's how I think. It ain't nothing I say that I already know the intended outcome. I hope that anybody hear this can understand my anger, my frustration, and they leave my daughter alone. Because I'm not gonna allow for it.
Yes, sir. About the Bible part, me and you disagree. I don't know. I can't say a word about it.
Before we go there, how about you do your research and we'll have this conversation later? All right.
Okay.
See what you're doing, you've been indoctrinated into Christianity. I can tell that. And so what you're doing is you telling me what somebody told you to somebody tell them. So you got a phone right there. And you can just Google it as we speak. How did the Bible, how about I can send you some links how you can see all the different inconsistencies, all the different dates and all the things in the Bible. You can tell that man did. And how about an all-loving God? How can an all-loving God tell a man to kill his child? How can an all-loving God? Now, let me ask you this. If somebody was chasing you and you got away to the other side, would you destroy all the people up? Would you tell somebody to sacrifice their baby? Would you take your only begotten son and put it on a cross and let it be crucified? If you are all powerful and all loving God, let me ask you this. Why would you just change things? What happened with all that power? That's one of the questions Martin Luther King asked at 7 years old. I asked that question when I was about 4 years old, when I first heard the story of Jesus. Why didn't God just change things? The lady couldn't even answer that question. And of course, I don't want to, we can go on and on about this. Listen to me. I go to church every Sunday. And I play guitar in the church and I have a good time in there. And I love my pastor, but it ain't because he's talking about Daniel in the lion den. It's because he'll talk about it, but he tied into what me and you talking about right now.
Makes a real world situation.
That's right. That's right. Now, now when you start talking about, have you ever seen, you really think that Daniel could be in a lion den and not get ate up? That just read in the paper last week about somebody got ate up by that lion and they had to come in there with chairs to get him up out of there. How about Siegfried and Roy? And just tell me about how many people you know was in the middle of a fire and never got burned up. Can you put anything in the middle of a fire and not thinking not burning? And how about let's go put the story of Moses. They ain't never been able to validate that. How about the dove going out and came back and then go about the next day and come back with an olive branch? So I want to know, how did a tree grow in that one day? How did trees go? So if God had that kind of power, why didn't God just change things in the first place? And then how about the earth? The earth is, according to the Bible, you understand, this is 2022. It's 2000. It's supposed to be 2023 years since Jesus died. Of course, that's not true either. Of course, according to the Bible, the world is only what, 5,000 years old. We know that the earth is billions of years old. So we can go on and on. One thing I do know is that the Bible is definitely not God's word. But that doesn't mean that God doesn't talk to you, KQ, or me, or the listening audience out there.
You're right.
Now, when I say God, you understand that there's more people that don't believe in our type of God than believe in our type of God. So now what make our God? So, and another thing too, now, you realize that if I close your eyes, I'm gonna just say, go ahead, close your eyes. Let people see you close your eyes. I'm gonna keep my eyes open. Close your eyes. Say, God, yeah. King, Queen, Pharaoh, Prince, Princess. Open your eyes now. I guarantee you, every time I call every last one of them things, then a white person came before your face, because it does for me. Yeah. Because I've been indoctrinated into Christianity and white superiority. That's exactly what it did. What Christianity does is teaches us to stay in our place, to turn the other cheek and expect our reward when we die and go to heaven. Now you got the James Webb Space Shuttle, them went all the way back 500 billion years and they ain't seen heaven yet. So I need to know where heaven is. And of course, if you do the translation, hell is the Greek word Hades, taken from the grave. Everybody go to the grave. But how could an all-loving God allow for anybody to burn in a fire eternally just because they don't believe the stories that are in the Bible? See, I can just go on and on. You better be glad the Dice Man ain't here, because the Dice Man, oh, woo, Lord, he's sharp.
Now, see, I gotta say this when you say, when I gotta go back to when you said that, like, everybody don't like believe in our God. Like, you said we have something do talk to us like God or whatever, this and that. I look at it as a third eye, like, like I still believe in God, but I look at it as like, my conscience of a third eye
Intuition,
talking to me. Yeah, like, it's like,
conscience,
okay.
your conscience.
Yeah, it's basically telling you, okay, you finna do something stupid, so why would you do this stupid thing? And and it shows you basically what you've been missing. Is people say, oh, this guy. I mean, you can say that, but I say that's just my
And
conscience.
it's suspect. Why is it that when they start teaching us to read and write, when we learned to read and write, it was the Bible that was given to the so-called black leaders. And to this day, the black leaders to this day, you go and show me a preacher that's gonna think like you think and gonna want what you want. He's gonna want what his master want. He's gonna want
Right.
what his master want him to do. He's gonna do what his master tell him to do, and his master is the other community, not us.
Mhm.
Just tell me, Mr. Rogers, do you know anything different from that? And then we got so many churches. Hold on, let's just go a little further. That's got to tell you this. They came out where you can sell medical marijuana in the state of Mississippi. Do you realize that I incorporated and I joined 3MA, which is the Mississippi Medical Marijuana Association? I joined that. And so when they approved it, they struck it down. And the reason why they struck it down is because they're getting ready to make some black millionaires. And how can we implement this law and basically redline the black community? And what they did is they patented out the whiskey and cigarettes, meaning that you can't sell medical marijuana within 1,000 feet of a school, a church, or a daycare. It put me out of business before I even got started in the business. We got a church on every corner in the black community. We have more churches in Meridian, Mississippi, inside the city limits. They got about 50 churches. They only got about 5 white churches.
Well,
but we got about 50 black churches. We got a church on every corner in the black community.
The reason I believe that is it all goes back to our beginning here on this continent of North America. We came here to fight with each other, and that goes on up inside of the church. But the black church in the beginning of its time, you got Mother Emanuel, things of that nature in South Carolina. You got Mount Nebo, and you got Old Baptist and all of these. The black church in its founding was one of the best things for the free slave to have. During slavery, it was used to keep us out, to take away the book of Revelation, take away all these people, all these stories about slaves going to a promised land, because that gives people like Nat Turner and my fourth great grandfather, one of my great grandfathers, Newton Knight, who they made the Free State of Jones, that movie about. I'm a descendant of Newton Knight, one of the greatest guerrilla fighters ever. He fought through the word, through the Bible. Newton Knight, one of my great grandfathers said, I answer to no man except God. But in the beginning, but let me go back to my point. The black church in its founding was wonderful for it. It was the first time where we could really have leaders, where we could really have a preacher. Not all the time was preachers good. Not all the time we make the choice right. Just because you look like me and you look good on the outside don't mean you good on the inside. That still happens today. But when we did it, that was our first way of being a part of a democracy, church.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all. But in doing so, it taught white superiority. It taught white supremacy, because you got a white God. Everywhere you look, you got a white Jesus. And when you see angels, they're all white. So it teaches us not to challenge white authority. It teaches us not to go against that white man. It teaches us to think that white man ice is colder than ours. And we're still dealing with that to this day. I'm not disputing anything you're saying, but even in giving us something good, they was able to slip something in there to keep them on top, to keep us looking up to them.
Jimmy Carter once said, I read not too long ago, Jimmy Carter, our old president, he said, homosexuality was well known before in ancient times, way before Jesus was even born. And, Jesus, out of all his many teachings, never said a word about it or how it was a sin. So I mean, when it comes down to things of that nature, I don't judge anybody. And
I mean, I'm pro-choice. I'm with you with that. I'm pro-choice with that, and I agree because again,
I'm not like that, but I think they
hey,
should be.
I'm not like that either. You know, I'm a lesbian.
Now, I gotta say this. Now, you said like when how you say they paint a picture of a white Jesus, but in the Bible,
Mhm.
they tell us that God has what the
Hair
skin.
like lamb wool.
Yeah, the hair
And
like
what did they say his color was?
they
Yeah,
said.
Olive.
Yeah, that's what
but
I'm saying.
again, just let me
Mr.
interject.
Holt is olive color. If
Yeah,
we really want to look at it.
yeah, you understand
But
it.
it goes back to what he said, the narrative, what the media portrays.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
right.
We know what a God. I believe in a God that looks like me. You know, God have mercy on a
I'm
God
glad to hear you
on the
say
people.
that. I'm glad to hear you say that before you start talking about you do your research and then you come back here next week. I want you to do your research. And then if anything I need to send you, I need you to send it to me. And before you go, I promise you, you're getting ready to have a rude awakening because the story of Jesus is taken from the story of Osiris. All those stories that are in the Bible, Egyptian story, you understand that life started at Mesopotamia in Egypt over 4,000 years ago. Do you understand when they talk about Socrates and Aristotle? These are Greek philosophers that went to Africa and learned from them. But they tell you their name. I have a history minor, so but they only mention that African teacher name just a little bit. Pyramids, they still really don't. Those things are in Egypt. They have already Iran and Iraq. Did you know that Iran and Iraq both was a part of Africa in the beginning? That's part of Africa that's broke off all of Africa. Did you know that they colonized Africa in the 18th century and came in to get the riches, and it's still to this day. But it's like that. But you got to dig a little deeper when you start giving God all the glory. Make sure you're giving the right God the glory. When you start talking about what you believe, you don't believe that. You believe what was told to you to believe. That's indoctrination. And when you realize, man, let me tell you something. I went to prison for something I didn't do. I was a Christian and I did believe, boy, that I'm a Christian, and God in his Bible says, suffer not the little children, for theirs are the kingdom of God. And so now here I am. Now I'm going to trial in Marengo County for armed robbery. Now I didn't commit to armed robbery. I didn't do it. I ended up going, but you know, I prayed. Oh, I lost my damn religion that damn day. You can believe that. But hold up, I still really didn't. But I was shocked. How is it that he said, ask for anything in my name? And I prayed, and he said, suffer not a little children. So I had two things going for asking his name, and I did. Here I am, I'm begging a white man to do something for me. I'm begging a white man to do something for me according to his will, according to his design, and it did not work. Everything that white man said, it did not work. And then if the Bible really did work, why is all this? You telling me if God was able to cast Satan out of heaven into hell and all this hell going on this earth, that God ain't got no power, that he just sitting back and watching all this? As mad as, and I'm made in God's image, and as mad as I am about somebody, excuse me, for effing with my daughter, and God watching all this chaos going on this earth and not stepping in,
Right.
it's something wrong.
Right.
But
well, I believe in a God, a God of the oppressed. I believe in a God who watches over the oppressed, and he still even watches over the oppressors.
So why did God allow for that lady to lie to you?
Yeah, I believe so.
But why? What? Tell me why would it not? Here's the thing. Now I can't tell you where it's at. No parts of the Bible is of any private interpretation, but you can go in there and find so many contradictions in the Bible. I mean, you got to do them. Google it. You got this stuff right. I'm sure you got a phone right there in your hand. Your information, instead of you telling what that preacher told you, what your mama said that was told to her and told her, it's time for us to get away from that and start learning and doing for ourselves. Simple as that. Because Christianity has not worked for us at all. Let me tell you something. The Muslims, they ain't right either, because Muhammad wasn't no more of a prophet than you and I are. But guess what? But they do have one thing that the black community lacks. They have that cohesiveness. They have that strong black male. They have that strong sister. They make their own money. They have their own hospital. They have their own everything. And this is a church in Meridian, Mississippi on Old Marion Road. They have their own school. They have their own bank, their own money. When they built that school, they had a black female come in from Florida or somewhere that came in, and she was the engineer that drew up the blueprint. See, we can do it ourselves, but we don't want. We keep going to the church every Sunday. Listen to them preachers tell them same damn lies about this white man parting the Red Sea and all that and all this stuff in every black church. And then they go and take all that money they collect on Sunday to a white bank. You go there and tell your mama to go try to get a loan. Tell her go get it from that same white bank that y'all church been putting that money in there for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Now what you said about the Muslim, you know, I'm a Christian who listens sometimes to I listen to Malcolm X and I listen to the way he thinks. You know,
other way he thinks.
So some of the things, you know, as a Christian, you know, I do agree, because if you really
say Christian, you're talking about
a Muslim and a Christian actually has some similarities together. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm a Christian. You know, it's gonna be
because they all stole their information from the same place, Egypt. Where you're from antiquity. All those stories come out of Africa. Every last bit of it came out of Africa.
I'm always be a Christian. I
ain't saying that you ain't, and I don't knock that you do. But before you jump and say that, you go and do your research and go tell me.
I had a teacher who came in and told me that we
I didn't say that. I said, go and read for yourself. I want you to go and tell me. I want you to tell me Jesus' actual birthday.
It was in April. He was actually born in April.
I want you to prove that to me when you come back here next week, because I want you to come back here next week. I want you to come back here. I'm gonna have the Dice Man come in next week too. Yeah, I want you to actually prove that his birthday was in April.
Can I bring one of my friends along with me too?
You can bring whoever you want to. You can bring Jesus with you if you can find him.
He right over here. He right over here.
Bring your friend. I want your friend to call. We gonna have a Dice Man here. You know, we can bring in more people. You know, he'll be able to come in and give us a opinion. It's not. Hey, look, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. That's what God said.
We need knowledge. We need knowledge, not only for us, but for our people.
Hey, look here. We suffer for lack of knowledge, and God also said, arm yourself with the sword of truth. Mm-hmm. I'm only alluding to the fact that you need to educate yourself and stop taking what was told to you. Go out and see it for yourself. Go and look for yourself. Don't listen at what nobody say. You ain't got. When I told you that lady lied to you, didn't I tell you to call the Secretary of State? Guess what else I can tell you to do? Look at the election laws. They on the Secretary of State website. See, you ain't got to take my word for it. So when instead of coming here, your mom ain't gonna like this, and Miss Rogers and Terry mom, I apologize to you in advance. I suggest under you, Miss Rogers. That's your last name, or Miss Terry.
Miss Rogers, you got it right.
Okay, Mrs. Rogers and Mr. Rogers, I apologize to both of you in advance. I don't mean any harm. I suggest the same thing to you. You have a bright, he has a bright future. I'm looking at Terry, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the president of the United States one day. I'm looking at somebody who has a bright future, not only in the black community, but in the United States. But I suggest anybody that are going, and you ain't got to take my word for anything, but go and do your own research before you start saying, I ain't saying change. I'm not saying it's not a God. What I'm saying is that I've seen things happen for me that I got to say it's God's blessing. But again, that doesn't mean that I believe what's said in that Bible, because I don't. It's good for teaching and for morality, maybe some of it is, but not all of it. You know, they used the Bible to justify slavery, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, I know it. That's what I was getting to. That's why they took away Revelations, all these things of slaves upcoming. Whenever Nat Turner got a hold of it, you saw what he did.
Yeah. Please don't mention Revelation. I never read anything that's so confusing. It don't make any sense at all. It's the book of Revelation. And it does not follow anything in the Bible at all. And it's unbelievable. There's no way that you're going to make me believe that fire horses going to come out of the sky in a rainbow. If we go up so far, we'll die for lack of oxygen. I definitely don't think horses. I guess you said with God, anything is possible.
But you got to think about it. God is a power. not known for us to really comprehend until we get to meet him. Until Judgment Day comes, it's something I don't question. I know. I know.
Yeah, I'm not saying quit. I just say do your own research, and that
You're
ain't
right,
number based
and I will.
internally. Yeah, do your
And I
research.
promise you, and everybody who watched it here
And
today,
let me tell you what happened to me.
I will.
Let me tell you what happened to me. Now, I experienced culture shock. I don't mind telling you, I almost went crazy.
What exactly is that?
Culture shock is when you're brought up one way and you're exposed to something totally different, so profound, it'll run you crazy. And I almost went crazy. I know people who have went crazy when a sharp break from the past is culture shock. And I can tell you that when you start doing your research, you're going to experience culture shock. Some people can't deal with it. Some people prefer not to go and do the research. So only thing I'm saying as a bright young mind, I'm not saying I know I'm not a Christian. I can say that with, and at one time I used to say that I am. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I have a lot of respect for Christians. I have a lot of respect for Muslims. I have a lot of respect for even the Hinduists, the Buddhists, or whomever, whatever their religion, even Mormonism, even the Golden Tablets, they even admit to them not being free. You know, Brigham Young, founder of Mormonism, and Joseph Smith, whoever the founder, I think of Brigham Young, created that or lied about it. And so they say that, but they still continue on their faith because it's a powerful organization. And what about the Scientology? You know, you got Tom Cruise, so many people got their own religion, and it creates a lot of wealth for just a certain group. We're gonna call it the Illuminati or the Bilderberg groups or whatever. You understand that all the money goes from the bottom to the top. And these people do it. They collect this money any way they can. Jay-Z may be a billionaire, him and Beyonce, but there's pennies compared to the money that people that control everything has. Just like Ukraine, this is created in order to make money for those same peoples and to test weapons in a country that's insignificant.
Now, I 100% understand why America is doing it. It's another Cold War scheme. We're not fighting the war, but we're getting another country to fight the war
for us, for our interests.
Yeah. And me personally, you know, as a good-hearted person, if you see somebody trying to go up in somebody else's house, go up in your grandmother's house, would you just sit there and watch, or would you say, Grandma, I ain't gonna shoot this person, but I'm gonna give you a gun to protect yourself? That's basically what the United States is doing. But I also think
I don't agree with that analogy. I'll just tell you, you're a bright young man, but that's a fallacy. That's not true. That's not our grandmother. Ukraine is more a part of Russia than America. How can America be? This is in Europe, you understand? This is America's over here. So you're talking about thousands, and you're talking about a more. One time Ukraine used to be a part of Russia, so it's more Russian. It's more Russian. And then here's the thing that they're having over there is that there are more Russian citizens in Ukraine than it is Ukrainians, because at one time Ukraine used to be a part of Russia. So that's not, you know, that's what they want you to think. We have no reason to be able to. We have too many homeless people. We have too much going on in America for us to be taking billions of dollars and spending on other countries. What they're doing is they're testing weapons over there. And you have what you call an industrial military, the military complex. They make a lot of money creating weapons and selling weapons, and they have weapons. They have weapons they're not using anymore, so they're sending those over there to be destroyed. And then they have weapons they hadn't tested. They're testing them over there. They don't want to test them on Americans. And so they can fight a war. They can make a lot of money and create chaos in the world, like with the COVID. So no, that's not our grandmother over there. Yeah. That's not, they ain't no kin to us at all.
It's something.
And if it was our grandmother, I really don't care. I think we need to take her home first. I'm just telling you that. We got too many problems in America.
And you know, I agree with that. I agree with that. But it's something deeper. I think it's something deeper than that. You know, 6 o'clock here, 7 o'clock in Washington, because they on Eastern Standard Time. Biden will get a briefing on something going on in Ukraine. We won't get that briefing. Only he knows. So I mean, it's something deeper than that. It's something really only a few people know. Only a few people know is the real reason why. I agree with you. We do need to fix homelessness. We need to feed the poor.
Illness, mental illness,
Yeah.
prison overcrowdedness. I mean, it's such a hustle in America. That you have every time I go to Meridian, I pass by about, I think it's probably somewhere around Bowler G. This is actually in Greene County, but then you have the Livingston Task Force on the interstate profiling. And what they do is they park across the interstate with the lights on, and at night they scroll and they look at it. If you fit a certain profile, they pull you over, which is totally illegal. We have so many problems in America with people not having anywhere to stay, people not able to pay their light bill, their water bill. Gas could come down. I mean, they could bring the price of gas down. We have too many problems in America to be even sending any money even to Europe, because even Europe is not next up. And the only reason why it's like that, you understand that this country here was taken actually from the Native Americans. They're not Indians. That's just how ignorant Christopher Columbus was. He thought he had a new route to India. At no time did Christopher Columbus ever come into the so-called Americas where we are. He was down in the Bahamas and down in those countries down there. And so it's just that it's so much that we have going on in this country, and because of that, they hate us. Man, I tell you, I sure enjoy talking to you. We gotta get you,
Mr. Holt. I got a question before we head out. How do you feel about you know, Biden and them had found they had found some papers or some top secret information,
top secret documents. It's
and you know, they was planning on, if this would have came out and it would have been what, 2023, 2024, they would have used this on Trump like I don't know what. And they were waiting on it, but now they found it there. So how do you feel about that?
I think it was planted. And you asked me what I think. I think it was planted there. All of it to help Donald Trump. And here's the thing: even so, if it was planted, it's apples and oranges. Donald Trump basically stole his. They asked him for it. He would not give it back to them. But Biden case, his people went there and found this, and they immediately turned it over. The same people, the National Archives, asked Donald Trump for it, and he wouldn't give it to them. And he said he didn't have it. So it's a total different thing here going on. But I still think that those things was planted there. You have a lot of powerful people in the world. They don't like Biden. It's easy. And then I promise you that even in the FBI and the Secret Service and the Justice Department, there's people in those places that do not like Biden. I say it was a plan. That's what I think.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too, because they knew that was a good tool that the Biden campaign in 2024 could use.
Yeah.
And they said,
and you got the electoral
let's switch it.
Yeah, the electoral college that controls, actually, believe it or not, it's so that they really can elect who they want to. Do you understand that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, if I'm not mistaken, by 300,000, but lost the electoral vote? I think that we need to get away from the electoral college and then go with the popular vote. I just really believe that.
I really don't know anything about either one of them.
The electoral college is that each state gets so many electors. And you have to have 270. The first one get to 270 across it, become president of the United States. A big state like California might have 40. And so if you win, if you get one more vote than the other person, you get all 40. Some states divided up based on how many votes you get. But in a state like Mississippi and Alabama, I think maybe Mississippi may have, it's a small number, like say maybe like 6 or 7, but you get all of it if you win the popular vote. And so that's the electoral college. And
so it's the popular vote within a state.
Yes. And you don't get the votes, but then they still tally up all the votes. Hillary Clinton won the presidency by 300,000.
And you know, Mississippi could go blue just like Georgia did. You know, like I forgot seeing the number.
You mean in your lifetime? That's a joke. I said in your lifetime.
Like in Georgia, it's, if you look at the numbers of how many unregistered 18-year-olds, just high school students, it was enough to turn the election, to sway the election, just with only 85% of the high school students. So I
agree with you 100%. That's the reason why they incarcerate us at a higher rate. You know, we constitute over 50% of the prison population, but we only constitute about 13% of the total U.S. population. So we're not being educated. We're being kicked out of school, and they use criminal records as a way of disenfranchising. In the state of Mississippi, they added about 11 more things to it, apart from the Constitution, just with an attorney general opinion. The legislators still have not changed it. I hate for them to hear me say this because they're going to change it and do a constitutional amendment. It's never been a constitutional amendment to keep a person that carjacked from voting, because carjacking didn't go on back then because they didn't have cars. And so they had 10 things that'll keep them out, but they add it's about 21 now. But most of it is the kind of crimes that Black people commit.
And this right here is, America is a great nation, but it's a nation still with slavery on the books. Still,
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
it's slavery still on the book for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you're right. In the 3/5, one of the things they did when they passed the 13th Amendment is they you can take away a person's freedom if they get in jail. And of course, Blacks started going to prison. Then, if they got past the lynching treaty, and they went to prison. Is anything you want to say to the people? You know, remember next week you coming back. Is it next week? Is that enough time for you to come back?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is.
You can bring Reverend Ike with you if you want to. Not just kidding. But anyway,
I'm gonna try to bring my friend along with me.
Yeah, and he can just tell him have him a laptop, and he'd be in a different room from you, and we can send him. Yeah. Because when you're in the same room, it gives some kind of feedback, like the radio being turned up. Well, Mr. Rogers, I appreciate you, everything, and
I'm glad you come back on.
Yeah, you got to come back next week because we got to have this conversation. If the Dice Man hear that, then, but I'm going to close you out right now and everything, and I appreciate it. Make sure you tell somebody to subscribe. Tell everybody watching everything. Tell them watch. Tell them subscribe, and let's grow. We're in we're having growing pains now because we was out, and now we're rebuilding our numbers. So I appreciate you again.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Remember, don't forget to go back and get on the ballot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will.
Thank you. All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay. Folks, you know, like while I was on the air, my baby mama was texting me, but she wouldn't have to text me. And here's the thing I want to say about that is that if Black mothers had a tendency to not want their children to do better than them. And one of the things that say, and look here, if you think I'm lying, then look at your community, look at your family and see how your family is doing. Have your family did things in order for you to grow and to be better than what you are? Have your family did things so that you can become college educated? Have your family did anything? But I don't care if you get mad at me. Baby mom, let me tell you something. Don't start texting me and all that kind of stuff because you don't have a very good history with me, and I try to tolerate you because of our daughter. But you've done some things to me that ain't nobody would ever did to their dad, and I'm just not getting that stuff to go away and everything. And you're always asking for my help. You remember the last thing you asked me to do, and I was willing to do that. But damn it, I ain't doing nothing now because I don't like you. I don't like what you did to me, and I tried to tolerate you because of our daughter. But damn it, I don't like your ass, and I don't like nobody in your damn family. And I can tell you that shit, and I can say it to your face. The only reason why I don't come down there because I don't want to hurt one of you ML. But you need to understand that my sons will, and I have a lot of sons and daughters. And damn it, I ain't gonna have none of y'all bullying my daughters or any of my children. Damn it, I'm pissed off. Hell yeah, I said, ain't nobody in your damn family doing shit. Yeah, your baby got, Emma got 2 children, y'all. She got 2 children. The boy can't Claude be around there doing all he can to try to help her. The other baby daddy, if she know who it is, don't have nothing to do with the boy. But I'm a hands-on dad and she fuck with me. Shit, I'm doing something I don't normally do. I don't get on social media and shit, but don't text me because I ain't trying to hear this shit. Got off on a tangent. KQ, talk about something till I get myself together.
Okay. Let me pull up my little notes. Well, the suspects and well, no, we gonna talk about that on a later day. Let's talk about Big Scar. Okay, he's a rapper. His sister, apparently his sister and homeboy said that Gucci Mane didn't contribute anything to Big Scar's funeral. Now, as everybody, if you don't know, Big Scar real name is Alexander Woods. He's 22, and they call him Big Scar. He died December 22nd, 2022, at his girlfriend's home due to an accidental overdose. Now, his sister, Alexandria Woods, says that Gucci didn't contribute anything to the to the funeral. All he did was give flowers. But
Yeah,
but
well, Q, we're gonna kind of hold up on that a little bit and everything. I
oh,
just,
okay.
yeah, what we're gonna do now is we got some comments, so I want you to look at
Oh,
those comments and start looking at them. And if baby mama said anything, don't even read that shit and go and delete it because I don't know what she said. Here's the thing of is that people are cowards. They had a tendency to can say one thing in one medium, but then they won't do anything else. But ain't nobody got no business messing with child, period. Nobody, children should be, children should thrive and they should not have to be worried about being bullied. And what got me so upset is that I had to say something to one of her uncles. Had my daughter so scared she was shaking. And I went back and then I locked on the door and I asked him outside and I did it respectful, but I ain't gonna keep having this kind of conversation. But I want to tell y'all people is that go ahead and pull the comments up.
okay. Well, shoot. Araya said, "Hey,
Hey, baby, I know your mama probably getting on you and everything. Hope you be okay, baby. Just call the police on their ass. Call the
right,
police. That's all I say. Call the police.
yeah." But she was saying, on the school uniform thing, she said, "I don't see anything wrong with regular clothes. They take kids' style and fashion away, and our appearance away, just to be school appropriate. We should wear our regular clothes because everyone doesn't want to wear the same thing as other people, which is uniforms. I didn't understand at first, but when my lovely dad broke it down to me, I understood why he thinks we shouldn't wear uniforms, and now I agree."
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then, yeah, she was like, going into
Yes.
deep.
She reiterated about it. And see
Yeah,
what Johnny Magruder said. Great to see two Beach Kings together. Hey, let me bring him back up too. I want you in case I don't know. Do you know Johnny Magruder, Terry?
No, sir.
But he's a fan. I can tell you that. I mean, man,
You
I
said
promise.
you do.
Yeah, and not like, but only from jobs that he've had in the past. But he's a strong black man and has
yeah.
been treated unfairly in the past, and I'm sure he got his just due when it's out there. The main thing is to stand up. But go
He
ahead,
meant
Q.
he meant black kings together and a
What
queen.
did you say? I don't
He
see.
said,
It's talking over here.
yeah, it's
Yeah, he said. Cute straightening you up, John. She said, he said, great to see a black. Let me say, he said, what he
he
said, what
said
he said.
no, he said two
Bleach
bleach
Kings.
kings together
Bleach
and a
Kings.
queen. But he meant black, black kings and a queen.
And a queen. He left the queen out.
No, he left black out.
Oh,
I
okay.
like to meet. I like to meet them.
Yeah.
And then
I think that perhaps maybe Johnny, he'd like to meet him. Terry, is anybody have a question? Would you like for us to give your number out or anything like that? Or you can give your number out to say now if you wanted to. It's up to you. If you want to give your
Not
number.
as of now. Not right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if he like to talk, he can call the number.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Johnny, he would like to meet you, Johnny, and I think it would be good because anytime somebody and Johnny's he's college educated, highly intelligent, and he's a strong black man. Him and his family are strong. They have a strong family, and I appreciate. He said, Eddie, you're all right, my brother. Stay strong. The baby gonna be okay. He said, glad to see the next president and you together. He's a strong black man. Everybody teach him, keep your head up, Eddie. And that's good. And I like that. And we believe in you, man. I'm telling you, we believe in you. We definitely need you in politics. We need you in politics like now. I'm talking about we don't need those people that are trying to hold you back. She's been down there forever. And you're right. We can turn Alabama blue. I mean Mississippi blue, and you would do
And
so
Alabama.
and Alabama by registering young black people, getting them engaged, such as yourself. So I suggest that's your next project. I drew it up now. I don't mind drawing it up again if you want to take on this. It entails you creating a coalition, how to reseed. At that particular time, I said the Democratic Party, but I just said how to just re-educate the black community, young black folks. create whatever the name your organization is, seed it with young people. Go as young as 12, because in 12,
I took my best friend to register to vote actually last week, and that was one of the proudest moments of my life. Forget his life, my life. One of the proudest moments of my life.
That's good.
You know,
That's good. That's
taking
good.
him up there, and you know, he didn't think nothing about it, but to me, I mean, like I had tears in my eyes because
I gotta say something real quick outside. I'm looking at your hair and I'm looking at her hair. I'm looking at my hair. Don't y'all do that. Don't y'all do that. I'm still a good looking man. My hair used to be like that, but it's gone. Why are you laughing? I'm coming. Hey, look here. I'm gonna see how you gonna look in about when you get to be about 50 years old. Yeah, I still it's there, but then look at it. Oh, yeah. Girl, you must got Indian in your blood.
I actually do now.
Hey, look here. Hey, why we gotta have Indian in our blood? But then look at
every
Terry.
black person got some Indian.
I actually do though, for real.
Terry, look, I see your little hair right there. Look at it. He got that good red hair that just standing right there. But anyway, man, I enjoyed this conversation and everything. I appreciate you guys. We gonna sign off. Anything? Hey, say something cute.
Well, all I gotta say is, you know, keep your mind together. Keep it together. That's all I gotta say. Keep
Terry, Terry, what's up, Terry?
Keep your mind focused on what it needs to be focused on, and always remember your people and where you come from, and fight for them.
That's right. And what I like to say is that sometimes people, you know, like I get upset, and I don't mind telling you guys that not only am I college educated, you know, I was street too. So sometimes I lose it. We got to learn to express ourselves without anger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fight this beast with a pen. It seems like I'm going to have to go to court. I don't want to. I prefer to get along. I prefer to work things out. But I'm not going to let anybody bully my child or anything like that. And it's a good thing that I'm in Mississippi, because if I'd have been down there, no telling what would have happened. But I want to say to anybody think that I'm too old. I have children that are not too old, but I don't want that. Why we got to have chaos? How about let's just do this thing? Let's work this thing out. You should not be allowing anyone to say anything to our child because they don't feed our child. They don't buy her school clothes. They don't do anything for her. That's me and your responsibility. Even so, when Araya get up to be older, it's going to be you and I that have to deal with any kind of trauma, stress that she go through, not any aunties and uncles. But your brother need to stand his little ass down and leave my daughter alone. Y'all have a good evening.